This is Business Therapy, healing businesses from the inside out through communication and emotional intelligence. I'm Diane Hansen, management consultant, and with me co-host Christine Salvo, therapist, certified mediator, and certified hypnotherapist.
Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, everybody. And today we have a fantastic guest on for you. We have KT Redwine, known as Kate by Faith. She's an author, servant leader, and speaker. She empowers women who are abused to take their power back by becoming liberated through the love and peace of Jesus Christ. She has an MPA, BBA, and a successful track record working in both the private and public sectors. Her new book, If God Be For Me, Powerful Testimonies to Stir the Christian Soul, is out now. Welcome to the show, Kate.
Thank you, ladies, so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
our pleasure.
you. So we were talking a little bit about different topics, especially related to the times that we're in right now. And I think that one area that you really excel in is boundary setting and setting those good, strong boundaries. And I think now that a lot of people are having to work from home, that is more important now than ever. So Kate, tell me, what is your experience around setting boundaries and the importance of them?
Okay, well, I've been working from home. It's kind of interesting the times that we're living in now because I've been working from home since about 2012. And when I first started working from home, it's kind of funny because none of my family members thought I had a real job. you know, as an entrepreneur. So everyone would like call me all day or text me. And I'm like, I'm kind of working here. And you don't really want to tell them no because you love them, right? So that's where I started really setting boundaries outside of even the corporate world. And I tell you, before I was a doormat, I'll be completely honest with you. I was a doormat and I was always answering everyone's questions, answering all the emails, and just talking to everyone on the phone during business hours. And as a result of that, it affected my profits. It was no revenue because I was on the phone all the time or trying to help someone else with their problems. So throughout the years, I've learned to set boundaries and just be strict with them, basically.
Yeah, I think that's really important. So, how do you go about setting those boundaries that people need to know kind of what the sandbox is they can play in you with?
I think you have to create a plan. I mean, that's what I did. I made up my mind. It was a mental shift that, no matter what, I'm not going to answer my phone between, let's say, for example, the hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., unless it's like a break or lunchtime. And no matter what, unless it's an emergency. And sometimes you have to turn your phone off. You may have to turn your notifications off. So it all starts with a mental shift and then a plan that you are going to stick to. Let no one take you away from that plan, no matter what.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm really liking what you said about how being an entrepreneur, no one thought you had a real job. I really think that's something that our listeners can relate to because maybe you're not going off somewhere. But I think what we all know, as entrepreneurs, as working from home people, is that sometimes you work more than a 40-hour work week. Right? You end up working longer hours or weirder hours or pulling all-nighters. I know Diane's done that numerous times. And the boundaries aren't just at work. They are at home. They are with friends. They are with family, especially if you're self-employed. And this other idea that there's a lot of transition from employment in the office to home. And, this may be here to stay. So managing all of that time and going, hey, from 8 to 5, I'm not available, just as if I had to keep my phone in my locker at work.
Yes. Yes, that's so true because you're right. When I first started out with entrepreneurship, I didn't know what I was doing. I was working like 50 to 60 hours per week and not getting anywhere. And it's because I didn't have any boundaries set.
And all those interruptions, like you said, well, I mean, technically I am home. So, okay, I can answer the text, or okay, I can take the call, or how important is that? And then, you're right in the middle of something, and about 5 minutes in, you're like, do you actually have anything you wanted to talk about today? And it's like, oh no, just catching up. And it's like, oh my God, I was so on a roll. And so, I have read something in the past. I'd have to look it up to reference it, but one distraction can cost 20 minutes to an hour of lost
Yes.
productivity.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
Absolutely. It's called
Wow.
task switching. And
Wow.
the concept of task switching is it doesn't just eat time when you're trying to multitask. It eats time when you're shifting from one task to another. And depending on how many times you're shifting task or your attention is shifting, it takes that much more time to reset. And the source on that originally, Christine, actually, we were in the same room together, is Brendan Burchard.
There we go. Okay. I wasn't sure where I got that
Oh,
from.
Yes. Yes. So task switching is it takes a lot of time out. So when you set that boundary and say, this is the amount of block time that I'm working, and after this time, I find it very helpful when setting boundaries to let people know when they can have it as well. Or if it's a flat no, the reasoning behind the flat no. So I think that's another kind of nuance. I recently had this issue with a client who was basically in alignment with the, if I need you, I want to get a hold of you now.
oh boy.
And I have other clients as well, and I have this radio show, and I have other things. So right now we're being hit from all directions. Working from home, there's coworkers at home, and there's bosses that are also at home, and then there's clients who are also at home, and all of them want our time. So Kate, do you have any best practices for setting boundaries around time?
I actually do. I've been mentoring and coaching women since around that same time of 2012, 2013. And I used to have that same problem. People used to email me or text me in the middle of the night, like, oh, Kate, I need your help. And I'm like, what? I'm in the bed. I can't help you right
That's
now. But yes, what I do when I bring a client on, well, first of all, I have them sign like a non-disclosure agreement. And also with our contract, I go over that. I go over the times that I'm available, and I will not change it. I have set the boundaries. I'm telling you, I will not change it no matter what. So I think it starts when you first bring that person on, when you just lay the foundation and let them know, hey, this is what it is. This is how I run my business. I respect you. You respect me. And I noticed I had a big difference. Like people stopped calling me and texting me and emailing me outside of those work hours. It's just laying the foundation and really putting it in writing, to be honest.
So, Kate, I have to know, when you first started doing that, because there was no boundaries and then there was pretty strict boundaries.
Mhm.
Were you ever afraid of like, uh-oh, what if they decide not to work with me because of that? Or because I think one of the things that gets in the way for a lot of people is fear. If I set this boundary with my boss, what if they fire me? If I set this boundary with my family and friends, what if they start calling other people and they don't need me anymore? Or what if I say this with my client the first session and I'm starving, I'm hungry, I need clients, right?
Mhm.
Like it's, do you remember that process for yourself, or did you have one?
I do very well. When I didn't have any boundaries, to be honest with you, I really wasn't making that much money. I was having all this time being busy, but not working on, profit producing activities. So people were just expecting to get things from me for free because I was giving everything away for free. And I had a friend, and it's kind of funny. She was my business partner at the time. And she told me, she said, you know something, Kate, I think our prices are too low. I said, are you sure? And then we would compare them, to other people doing some of the same things. And I said, wow, they're charging that. I said, we're practically giving our stuff away for free. So, yes, I did have a fear there. And like I said, I had to shift my mindset. Once I laid that foundation and started setting boundaries, I kid you not, people were begging for my products and services. They respected me more.
What
Pretty
was
much.
that
Right.
shift like though? So what did you have to wrestle with? I mean, I love that you're an author
Mhm.
and a coach and doing all, so I know you know what I'm talking about when it's like, because when you're talking to people, you know they're wrestling with something. You know that they're not doing the thing not because they don't want to, but because something is like nagging at them or they're wrestling
Yes.
with it.
What I was wrestling with was, are they going to continue to like me? I had people tell me, you know what, Kate, you're really like helping me. You're helping me to change my life, and I'm coming out of my shell. But these people didn't know that on the inside, or when I get off a phone call with them, I'm like, Lord, am I qualified enough to do this? Am I good enough? And it's kind of interesting when you have all of these, skills and degrees and accolades and everything else, but sometimes deep down within you, you're questioning your own ability to get it done. So that was the shift I had to, make mentally. Am I good enough? Am I good enough to charge? Am I good enough to set these
Mhm.
boundaries? Are they going
Yeah.
to respect me? Who am I to help them get to the next level?
Hmm.
Right.
So
And
who
I
are
love
you?
that.
How did you answer those questions? I have to know.
Honestly, when I thought about my God given gifts, talents, and abilities, that's what keeps me motivated even till this
Yeah,
day.
good.
When I think about why I'm here on this earth, it's not just so I can work a corporate job or say I have these degrees or say I have this much money in my bank. What am I doing every day to serve other people?
Yeah.
When I think about me serving other people, like sometimes even when I don't feel like maybe posting on social media or doing things like that, or attending this seminar, or I'm also a business mentor with like the SCORE, foundation under the Small Business Administration as well, and a subject matter expert. When I think about how I'm going to bless these people with this information, that's what motivates me. I get out of my own limiting beliefs and I start just thinking about other people and how I can serve them.
Yeah, exactly. And having coming from that mindset of service is really a catalyst for I need to set this boundary because if I don't, I'm not going to be able to serve as well. So
Yes,
is there's that piece as well. So you may have started out from that area of, well, who am I to? And then you're like, hey, who am I not to?
Yeah.
This is how I serve.
Yeah.
exactly.
And I love that. And one of my favorite things to ask is the journey, and I'm going to continue to ask about your journey because I want to know. But there's more to that of it's really not all that different. We at some point we all have to come to terms with we have gifts and talents and we have strengths and weaknesses. And if you're trying to market your weaknesses, okay, but you may as well, what do you do well, what comes natural, what makes you feel alive, those kinds of things, and then go do that. And you can question yourself when you're done if you want to. You don't have to, but go do it. Right?
Exactly.
Like do the thing, take the step, do, make it an
Right.
action. And then you can self-criticize and do all the things later. But as long as you showed up that day and as long as you left it on the table, you're probably not going to.
Right.
You're probably just not going to do it.
So that first time that you had to take that pre-client onboarding contract and put it in front of a client, that very, very first time you presented that, what was going through your mind in setting a boundary on paper like that for the first time?
Honestly, I was thinking, okay, I know the services that I'm offering and I know I can really help this person. And I felt like if they really wanted that change, then they're going to sign the contract. They're going to sign it. Like, I know I'm setting boundaries, but I was thinking more or less about the end result, the positive outcome. And yes, still within me, I was like, okay, are they going to go to somebody else? But I know I can help them. I know I can help them. So I was wrestling with this. But every time, never had a problem. They signed the contract, they respected the boundaries.
And what do you do when you're wrestling with yourself? How do you have the greater good win the fight?
Honestly, prayer. It's a lot of
Mhm.
prayer going on for me because you're fighting these things mentally. You have to overcome, excuse me, these mental roadblocks. So once again, I start to think about why am I here? What's my purpose? What's my plan? Like, Lord, I know you put me here for a reason, and that is to serve other people. So that keeps me driven. That keeps me motivated day by day.
Yes, yes. I love that. And connecting that
So,
back to your spirituality as well. And you have a book
mhm.
that you wrote about that particular topic. Tell us about that.
Okay, it's a book that the Lord actually led me to write. It's kind of funny because I don't like the public eye. You would think with all of these, achievements, I like the public eye, but I don't. So I was having this conversation with the Lord. I said, "Well, Lord, I really don't like the public eye." But once again, He reminded me, "Well, this is not about you. This this is about the people that are going to get help from their condemnation or their shame or their guilt or abuse, whatever they've dealt with, and you're just sharing your testimony on a bigger platform." I've testified I don't know how many times at at church, and of course to co-workers or colleagues or things like that. So it's really just a testimony on a bigger platform, and it's a faith refresher, and it encourages people through my own personal testimonies of things that He brought me from, like long-term unemployment. I was unemployed like 3 years. I was
Mhm.
facing foreclosure. The papers had been filed at the courthouse. And God bless me, He sent a cash buyer to buy my home in 10 days.
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
sharing all of that. I'm sharing how I got the house. I had no money, I had no credit. So that was another testimony in itself. So it's just a book full of testimonies to get you stirred up and fired up.
I love that. I love that. And I mean, and this is a big testimony as well for you and your ability to really inspire women utilizing this path of listening to what the Lord had to tell you and going and doing it anyway. Finding your path and being fearless in pursuing it and fighting those inner battles. So I think
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
So, Kate,
Thank you.
I'm gonna take you on a little bit of a different road here. So, I am a therapist, and I work with a lot of domestic violence women, or abused people. And I'm really curious because it really ties in very closely with boundaries. Very, 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 right? So, violence, domestic violence, is the utmost violation of your personal boundaries.
Yes.
And so, I'm kind of curious how you tied those two together. Of
Okay.
Mhm.
I've been in 5 domestic violence relationships,
Okay.
and I've had bad choices in men. And this actually stems from child abuse, child sexual abuse, things that I've gone through as a child. I was also raped while I was 5 months pregnant. I had my daughter at the age of 16, 3 weeks before I turned 17. And all of these things kind of had me looking for love in all the wrong places. And I'm so glad I'm healed now to be able to talk about this, because it was a point in time where I couldn't even talk about this. But I didn't have any boundaries. These people just could do whatever they want. They walked over me, talked to me any kind of way, and obviously they knew that they could, physically harm me. So it's amazing the shift, the transition and transformation of where I've come from.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
Amazing.
Hmm. It takes a great deal of courage to come from that space of constant boundary violation to believing that one deserves their boundaries that they are setting up. They're worthy of the boundaries that they are setting up. So major kudos to you, Kate,
Oh yeah.
for
Super,
your
super honor you.
healing.
Super honor you.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you
absolutely.
so
So
much.
I'm going to ask the follow-up question is how do you go from that to this?
Honestly, my relationship with the Lord and getting it out, voicing it, telling people about it. Writing this book was therapeutic for me, because
Mm-hmm.
before I'm like, oof. And it's kind of interesting because I can talk about it with no problem. Like, I don't have the shame, the guilt, the condemnation anymore. What are people going to say about me? I was a teen mom, but look at where God brought me from.
Right.
I'm a
Right.
teen mom. I was, a domestic violence survivor. But it's kind of interesting because I always tell people, please do not label me as a victim. I am victorious.
Yeah.
I'm not a
Yes.
victim. I'm a victor.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. It is absolutely an element that allows you to gain that personal responsibility and that ownership of self that gives you the locus of control that allows you to propel yourself forward.
Yes.
And I did actually a study as I was creating my method, and it was over 300 domestic violence survivors that I interviewed in connection to the Me Too movement.
Mm.
And one of the elements that I identified, which actually ended up in my method, was that victimization personal responsibility piece and the relationship between blame and victimization and taking personal responsibility. And I think this ties directly into the ability to set boundaries, because if you're blaming, you're going to be in the space of you're impossible to set boundaries with. I can't
Mm-hmm.
set boundaries with you because you're always going over the line. So why even try? I blame
Mm-hmm.
you. Or, I'm the victim. I grew up in this place. I've never been able to set boundaries, so I shouldn't try now. And those places is where survivors find themselves struggling with the day to day. And it does bridge into the day to day, and especially
Absolutely.
in the workplace and
Yeah.
in other
Yeah.
relationships. It does bridge into that, is the, well, you want me, you need me, you want me, you need me now, I
Mm-hmm.
might as well let you have me. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's the same, it's same.
Well, the
And
idea of wherever you go, there you are. So,
exactly.
and that's actually that's so sad. And I love hearing your story, Kate, because it's, once you found boundaries, you were
Mm-hmm.
able to apply that, not just one area. And
Yeah.
that's sometimes a sticky place too, where I can watch someone at work and be like, you are such a boss. And then at home, they're mouse and they clam up and they can't get it out. And it's like, wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
you can do it because you do it over there. But
Mm-hmm.
your brain doesn't connect the two. And so you think, well, no, I can't do it. I can't do it at home. It's too risky. Or I can't do it with my mom or dad. I just literally had a conversation with someone last week where it was like, I can't have this conversation with my dad. Like, I just can't do it. And I'm prepared for this to take 6 months for this individual to be able to ask their
Mm.
father if they have to take over the family business or if they can pursue something they're interested in.
Mm.
This has caused this person years of anguish. Years. Today we actually had a follow-up whatever, and it's like I'm preparing, like, this is going to take a very long time. He's like, the oddest thing, I was in the kitchen, we had this conversation. Yeah, dad just doesn't want me to sit on the couch.
Yeah.
But the point is, once you're able to do it and you can face those fears, you can really kind of do it anywhere. But you have to start somewhere. So I'm guessing, through everything you had been through, maybe you hadn't been in the church and you got back into it. I'm sure there's some kind of journey there.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah.
It was on and off.
Mhm.
I've been saved ever since I was a little kid. It's kind of interesting. I have a family full of ministers and preachers. So when I tell people my story, they're shocked because they're like, "Huh?" Yeah, it happens. It happens. But now, and for the, I mean, it's been a while, for a long time. I've been constantly just in church and just in God's word. And it's amazing the transformation that has taken place. And I know it's my relationship with the Lord.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like I know it. I know it is.
But what I'm really hearing too is walking the walk.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
Absolutely.
it's not necessarily something I'm doing on Sunday and then getting lunch. It's
No.
I'm doing my work. I'm examining myself. I'm looking at
Yes.
different situations. I'm knowing that I'm worthy and whole and complete because I'm here and there's no other purpose. And that, you
Yes.
weren't given the super easy paved path because you had a message to share. And it's really not much fun listening to someone who's like, everything worked out perfectly. And here's the answer. It's like,
Ta.
you know so
Yeah.
it sounds to me like you may have had all these ministers, but you had to take the windy road so that you
Yes.
had backup, you had some kind of substance so that when you
Yes.
speak, people listen, because it's like, oh.
Mhm.
Right?
And the
Right.
interesting thing is, all of my family, like members who are ministers and pastors and preachers, they've had a windy road too. Trust me.
Right?
We
Good.
all
Yeah.
have these testimonies, and
Yeah.
it's just so amazing what has taken place. But you know something, I also had to not only forgive the people who have violated me, I had to forgive myself for making these bad decisions, for making these bad
Mhm.
choices. And I would look at myself in the mirror. And you know, it was so crazy because there was a point in time where I could not look at myself in the mirror. I would do everything except look in the mirror. I would wash my hands, brush my teeth, and always have my eyes down. I couldn't do it. I couldn't face myself. And I finally got to that point and I said, you know what? I forgive you. I forgive you for making the wrong choices. I forgive you for
Mm.
letting these people, do these things to you. And I had to forgive myself. Now, when I was a child, there's nothing I could do regarding
Right.
that. I was a kid, right?
Right.
But I'm talking about as an adult, I
Mhm.
forgave myself. And now I am so at peace. I'm at
Yeah.
peace.
And I feel like this is so relevant, whether it's happening in your personal life, whether it's happening in your professional life, or family, friends, social. What you just said is so powerful. We
Yes.
actually do have the ability to offer forgiveness, and that doesn't mean what happened was okay, and that doesn't mean we repair relationships and keep a relationship. That means we free ourselves from that prison of
Yes.
hatred, of anger, of all those negative below the belt emotions. And also saying I did have a part, and we there are victims, absolutely.
Hmm.
But when we say I stayed too long, or the first time they did it, I thought it was going to be okay, or whatever the case is, however you justified it, forgiving yourself, that's so beautiful, that's so powerful. And today you can
Absolutely.
write a book and share your message openly in such a vulnerable way. I mean, really, I really honor and respect you, and
Yeah.
all of the levels of your journey.
And
Thank you.
recognizing that learning as well, using that as a touch point
Yeah.
for um, this is what I could have been aware of, but this is what I can be aware of now. And this is when I'm actively, in these new situations of boundary setting, this is what I can do, what I can say, and I feel comfortable speaking up and being the advocate for
Yes.
myself
Hmm.
in business situations, in relationship situations, and knowing that I can also tap into. And there's this documentary that I watched called The Secrets of the Keys. And
Hmm.
one of the secrets of the keys is faith. So, regardless of what you believe in, having faith in something bigger than yourself, feeling the fear and doing it anyway is also another key to setting the boundary and taking action on enforcing it, because you can set a boundary,
Yeah.
but it's the enforcement that's really important.
That is so true.
Thank you so much for being on
Thank you
Business
so
Therapy,
much,
Kate. It
Kate.
was a pleasure having you.
Absolutely. Would
And
you
you
mind
guys are so welcome.
would you mind listing saying your website so our listeners can find you if they'd like more information?
Sure. It's www.katebyfaith.com.
Awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
This has been Business Therapy, healing businesses from the inside out through communication and emotional intelligence. I'm Diane Hansen, management consultant.
Christine Salvo, therapist, hypnotherapist, and mediator. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Have a great day.